Affinity as an attack stat in Monster Hunter series is essentially your weapon's critical hit chance. It's a percentage that tells you the probability that an attack will deal extra damage. Simply put, it's the same as crit chance in other types of video games we are familiar of. This would have been the end of the video, but there is much nuance in it. So let's get into some details. When a weapon has a positive affinity, for example 20%, means that there is a 20% chance your next hit will be a critical strike without any other support skills that boost affinity. A critical hit deals 25% extra physical damage. You can tell an attack is critical by a bright pink slash effect as you strike, and a small pink star symbol above your damage number. Additionally, a weapon can also have negative affinity, say minus 15%, means that 15% of your attacks are blunders, dealing 25% less raw damage, that is, again without any other support skills that boost affinity. You can tell such blunders hit by a small blue star symbol under the damage number. So does this mean the higher affinity we have, the more damage we deal? Well, yes, but also no, not always at least. Normally, affinity only affects raw damage. It's only the physical component of your attack that gets the bonus or penalty. If you are using an elemental weapon, however, such as fire or thunder, the elemental portion of your damage will not benefit from your affinity. There are special weapon skills that can change this when equipped, but more on that later. Additionally, explosion type of damage will also not be affected by affinity, such as sticky ammo from bowgun, shelling attacks from gunlance, or fire explosions from charge blade. So if you are making a build using such attacks as your main damage dealer, you should ignore affinity-related skills entirely. That said, for the majority of the builds, having a high affinity is often desired. If we have 100% affinity, all of our attacks will gain 25% damage boost. So unless we can find other ways to increase our raw attack by more than 25%, prioritizing the skills that increase affinity is never a bad idea. Now, with the basics out of the way, what are our options to gain more affinity? The first is, of course, the natural affinity that comes from weapons. A weapon with positive affinity is often considered much easier to make a build versus weapons with negative affinity. This is especially true in low and high rank when we don't have enough deco slots, skills, or utilities to max out affinity via other ways and means. Critical Eye is another option. It's a weapon skill from Expert Jewel that increases affinity by a flat amount per level. However, it requires at least a level 3 and a level 2 slot to max out for 20% affinity. With weapon decoration slots so limited, I would recommend going for other, more important weapon-specific skills, such as Offensive Guard for Sword and Shield, Power Prolonger for Switch Axe, Load Shells for Charge Blade, or more importantly, Critical Boost to make critical strike damage increase beyond 25%. Additionally, if you're going for an elemental build, the skill critical element is also another consideration. As mentioned before, normally, affinity only affects raw damage, but critical element will allow the elemental damage to also benefit from critical hits. At level 3, we will get a 15% elemental damage boost. So you should consider balancing between critical element and a critical boost on the weapon slots for damage first, before slotting in any critical eye skills. Another weapon skill is Critical Draw. At level 3, it gives you a 100% affinity for a short duration after performing a draw attack, so a guaranteed critical hit on draw attack. This unfortunately is a gimmick skill that only works for special niche builds and playstyle, so I don't recommend this at this moment. In Monster Hunter Wilds, Weakness Exploit is now a skill only available on armor and armor decorations. At level 5, it offers 30% affinity when attacking weak points and 20% extra on wounds. Compared to the 3 levels giving the same amount in previous entries, it got a pretty hefty nerf, but it is still a great choice regardless. So what is considered a weak point? A weak point that can trigger the weakness exploit skill is a monster part with a hit zone value of 45 or higher. Then again, what is a hit zone value? Well, that is a slightly more complicated topic for a different video. But for now, know that it's a percentage value on each monster part that determines how much damage it takes from your attacks. More often than not, if you're hitting with orange damage numbers, you're attacking weak points and benefiting from the 30% affinity. However, the 20% extra affinity on wounds is a bit more situational. We can't guarantee we can keep a wound up all the time during the fight. And even so, many weapons might decide to pop the wound immediately with focus strike instead of attacking on the wound. So when I build around this skill, I only consider that 30% affinity on weak points. Agitator is another great skill for affinity. At level 5, we get an extra 20 attack boost and 15% affinity when the monster is enraged. An enraged monster can be identified by the small eye icon on minimap turning red. A monster will go into enrage when you deal enough damage. As you get better at the game, you can keep them in this state for a majority of the fight. The additional 20 attack boost is also a good addition, synergizing with the critical hit we are aiming for. In low rank and high rank, when you don't have enough slots or decos to play with, I recommend choosing between Weakness Exploit and Agitator. But in an ideal situation, we do want to keep them both at max level. Now, here comes one of the best skills for Affinity, Maximum Might. It only requires 3 levels to give us 30% of Affinity when our stamina is kept full for a fairly short period of time. So any other skills or consumables that boost stamina or stamina recovery will help us to keep it active at all times. So make sure to bring that dash juice to your hunts. Additionally, some armor set bonus will also help to maintain max might. Example being the second wind from the Guardian Fogger set. It grants an additional stamina gauge, further boosting the uptime of the massive 30% affinity. Now, unfortunately, this won't work for dual blades or bows, as these weapons' moveset also consume a good amount of stamina. But for the majority of the builds at this moment in the game, Maximum Might is a fantastic choice. Now finally, the best way to get affinity currently in Monster Hunter Wilds is using the combination of Frenzy Virus and Antivirus skills. For that, we need 2 pieces from the Gore Magala set. The set bonus Black Eclipse will infect us with Frenzy when fighting against large monsters. When infected with Frenzy, we are in the Frenzy onset stage. At this moment, a small purple gauge on top of our health bar will start to fill up. Before it is fully filled, we can cure ourselves of Frenzy by continuously attacking the monster. When cured, we will get a 15% affinity bonus for 60 seconds. This is indicated by the small green cloud icon on top of the health bar. But there is more. Adding a level 3 antivirus skill in the mix will make it easier to cure Frenzy and also give an additional 10% affinity. So that is a total of 25% affinity with this combination. Antivirus only requires level 1 deco slot, making it, in my opinion, a must-have for most endgame builds. Now before you go, here is a bonus skill. Foray is a very interesting skill and especially useful for status build such as Poison. At level 5, it increases attack power by 15 and affinity by 20% when the monster is affected by poison or paralysis. In combination with critical status, which increase poison build up, and poison duration up, which extend the duration of monster gets poisoned, this skill can work wonders in certain matchups. Now there you have it. That concludes my detailed guide of Affinity and the best skills to boost it. I hope you find it useful. If you did learn a thing or two, please leave a like and subscribe for more Monster Hunter content. Thanks for watching and see you next time.